Well, hello everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the Yes Fragile video. Yeah, we even got the t-shirt for this video. This is an important video. We're talking about the Mobile Fidelity One Step. How good is it? What's going on with this record? Well, let's get into it. Um, Actually, I want to talk a little bit about something else first. Uh, Jacob Murphy on Rockoli Records, he also did a video. He compared one of these one steps. He had Bob Dylan Blood on the Tracks. And he made a comparison of his, he had the half-speed master MoFi compared to the one-step MoFi. And I'm not going to say, well, he thought that this sounded better, but he had some complaints. He had some observations that I agree with, and I'm going to talk about it. What I'll do is I'll put a link to Jacob's channel, Rockoli Records. I'll put a link below here now, and when you're done, have a link. Go and watch his video and get his perspective on these one steps, because there's not a lot of people doing reviews of them. Okay, here we go. First of all, I like the feel of this box. It's kind of got a rubbery feel to it. It feels kind of rubbery. But this whole box idea. That's an old. This is old kind of style. This is a $125 record, and I bought the thing about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks back, and I was on the Mobile Fidelity Facebook page, and I was reading about someone had said, yeah, this guy's selling them for $175, and they're still available on Amazon. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness, they're just about sold out again. I'm going to miss out. You get in that panic mode, and I went and bought one off the Amazon, but I had to pay shipping. So now I'm paying more than $125. I would have bought it off of, Analogue Productions, Acoustic Sounds, or Music Direct, Elusive Disc. Those places all give discounts. I don't think they're discounting this, but at least you're going to get free shipping. And they're still available. Last I checked, everybody's still got these in stock. Okay, so I'm actually going to talk about a one step that's in stock and you can actually buy it right now. Okay, so they've got this cover here, kind of hard to get off. Piece of foam in here. Then you get to the book with the Roger Dean artwork on it. This is one thing that everybody that I know of always loves about Yes. That is the Roger Dean artwork. And here's the back cover and the front cover of the Roger Dean. It's really cool. Everybody loves this. But what Jacob didn't like, and I don't like, come on, MoFi. We always praise you on your packaging. This is now the new standard in packaging. A piece of cardboard in here. Fairly thick, but still, this is supposed to represent the album cover. Even Friday Music put a cover in their deal, and it was $70 when they did their 45 RPM, when they did this version here. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But they've got a cover in there. When Chad did his Jimi Hendrix record, he had a cover in there, and it was a $125 record. Now we're going down to this. This little piece of cardboard does not affect the sound of the record at all. But who are you selling this record to? Who's it marketed to? Is it marketed to little girls with Crosley turntables? Or is it marketed to older adults with hi-fi gear? The record collectors. We expect a certain standard of excellence. This is not excellence. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is the one-step process. And what is it? Well, basically, you probably all know it, but I'm going to go over it real quickly. in the one-step process, you make the lacquer, and then you coat it with silver and nickel, and that becomes your stamper, and you can make records right off that. Well, when they're going to make, let's say they're doing the other Dire Straits records, right? They're doing the 2LP 45 RPM stuff. They're going to make a lot of those records. They're not just going to make a very limited amount. So they take the lacquer, then they call this one, they call it the father, then they make a mother off of that, and then they can make a stamper off of that. So this right here is where we're at. So we've eliminated these two steps in here, which can degrade the sound quality. So I was kind of thinking about, you know, they charge $125 for these records because you can't make as much. When you don't have a father, okay, that you can make more mothers from and make more stampers from. Because once you've done this, that's all your records you can make, is when this wears out. When that one wears out, you're done. And so they make like 7,500 records and they're done. But when they wore this out, the stamper out, they can go back to the mother, and then if they really want to, they can go back to the father and make another mother. They can make a few mothers off this father, and then they can make a whole bunch of records. That's why they do this process. But this one step, you get a better sounding record, but you can't make as many. So you've got to charge more money. So I was thinking, well, you know what they need to do? This one is not going to sound as good, is it? This one's going to sound better. Well, why don't you, when you're making the record, make a lacquer for this and make a lacquer for this one. Make two lacquers off that tape. When you've got that tape, make a lacquer from it and make two lacquers. And then you can make a whole bunch of these records and sell them for $50. And you can make a bunch of these records and sell them for $100, let's say. And then you can put a nice cover in there. You can go to over the City of Industry and get those Stroughton jackets and put that in there. Maybe you could get a nice different style cover, maybe something where it slides in and out, like the Jimi Hendrix record did. Maybe you could make a little nicer book to go in there. Okay, we're through all that. Now the next part of it, I like the rest of it. But okay, there is one little point, because I bought a MoFi before this, and when they came, now listen to this here. You hear that? That's all moving around in there. That's not good. And when I got the other MoFi, it had split the seams on the top and on the bottom. And the fellow that I bought it from, he packed it in this box, put it back, put it in the original box from Music Direct, and sent it to me, UPS, and all the seams were split. And I sent it back to the fellow because I didn't like the records to be all damaged like that. And I'm going to talk about that record on a later date. We'll talk about it. But this is issue here. This stuff can move around in here like that. I'm not big on, I don't really like that. So they've got this in here, but look, it's not protecting the top at all. The top and bottom, that record can still split the seam in there. So if they would have a double way to protect the record, that might prevent the seam splits from these things getting split. I'm not exactly sure, but this is supposed to do maybe stiffen this up a little bit better so it doesn't warp as much. I'm not really sure. But this is really nice. And the record now. Let's get to the record, because the records are really nice. And you can see right through the Joker. I mean, it's clear. Let's go up so you can see that record. No, you probably can't see through it, but yeah, it's clear. Now, let's get this stuff put away. And one of the major things I think that makes this record sound the way it sounds is that vinyl formulation. It's a new vinyl formulation that they've come up with. And it's right on here. I can read. The super vinyl. MoFi Super Vinyl is a new compound developed by Neotech and RTI to address two specific areas of improvement: noise floor, and believe me, it really is a quiet record. And that really helps you to really listen into the music. Because anytime you've got hum, background noise, you can't really hear much of the details, the intricate details of the records that we all love to hear. Okay, so an enhanced grooved definition. So actually the vinyl is, you're able to get when it's getting pressed in there, it does a better job of picking up all the minor details of the stamper, right? Enhanced groove definition. The vinyl composition features a new carbonless dye. They're not using carbon black, so we don't have to worry about the record getting magnetized over time. It's like the Clarity vinyl, same kind of idea. And produces the world's quietest surface. And I can attest that the Clarity vinyl on that Aqualung, it's got a little bit of surface noise on it, because Classic Records made that. But now when Chad made his Jimi Hendrix record, which I haven't reviewed yet, it's pretty quiet. That one is quiet. But this stuff here, this super vinyl, I'm really impressed with that product. And I'm hoping now RTI has been involved in the process of developing it. So maybe they have some of the rights to this stuff, because they need to press more records on this vinyl. It's worth whatever kind of extra money that they need to charge for it, which, you know, usually isn't but a few dollars, but they want to make a big deal out of it and charge you the moon. And also it says that the high definition formula also allows for the creation of cleaner grooves that are indistinguishable from the original lacquer. So basically what they're saying is, when you're playing these records, you're playing a lacquer. Indistinguishable. And provides the closest approximation of what we hear in the mastering lab. But yeah, how do you master your records and all that kind of stuff? That's what we all want to know, right? Right. Okay, so the book now is kind of a close representation of the original UK Plum. This is about the way their book was. Now, if any of y'all remember, if you bought this record in the States or Canada and you got an early edition, this was made out of newsprint. It was half the size of it. It was really cheesy. You know, give Atlantic, you know, their dues for this. You know, this is what they do. These big record U.S. companies, they just do it the cheapest way they can. That's why I like UK pressings, because they're better. They are. Okay, so let's just keep this box open for a sec, because, you know, MoFi, you're in for a real test here today, because look what we got. We got this joker. Yeah, this is what I'm going to compare you to. I'm not going to compare this record to a first edition US pressing. Yeah, I got the acoustic Kevin Gray, Steve Hoffman. I bought it when it came out. I think it was $29. Again, I went on eBay a couple weeks back and looked on it, and they're ridiculous. They're $200 now. But this record here is cheaper than this one right now, because this isn't. So, but here, look at this. Look at this nice book for a $29 record. Nice shiny paper. And the pictures are much, much nicer. Much nicer. See if I can get a bigger one I can show you. Yeah, let's go here to this one. Okay. I'll just put this side by each right here. So yeah, you can tell. Look at how nice the acoustic Analogue Productions. This is one of their first records that they put out, Analogue Productions. Really nice. You know, MoFi knew about this record. They knew how they did this. I like this much. I like this one a lot better, right? Isn't that a lot nicer, in your opinion? Maybe you like more truth to the original, which this is. I just prefer this. I think this is a more polished product. This is very close to what came in the first Japanese pressing, the same type of quality of this. And this might even be nicer than the Japanese one. Because usually, you know about the Japanese, when they do inserts, they go all out. They put really nice paper and stuff. And that was, again, another example of that. But my little acoustic, and look at the nice big gatefold, nice thick cover, right? That's nice. $29. Wow, they're killing it, right? Then you have one record, and it's on the Analogue Productions label. Okay. And so now we're at the time. What's the difference in the sound? Well, I had to listen to it quite a bit, and I'm going to tell y'all something here. I wasn't sure if I was going to or not, but let me get this set up here. I've been listening and listening and listening to this thing, and in the process of this, you know, I just got my cartridge re-kicked with a different kind of stylus than was on there before. Before it was an elliptical. Now I've got a micro line on there, micro line, and you can those micro lines, they really trace a lot better. But when I was playing the one step, this is one of the things about this record, because I used to have the Japanese original pressing of this, and it was always kind of bright. And I don't think that I had a copy of this before. Just one of those records that they heard so much on the radio, all your friends had it. I just don't know if I ever bought it. I may have, but when I got the Japanese pressing, even though it was the original press, it still was kind of bright, and the voices, because those guys sing high, and it was a little irritating for me. I got this, and they cleaned all that up, and I said, wow, finally, this was so much better than the original Japanese press that I had. I was happy to get rid of it and get something that sounded fantastic and great. Didn't have all that edge on the edge on their voices. It would irritate me. So I'm listening to this, and the MoFi, it's better, but it's got a little bit of that edge to the voice again. And I'm like, I would compare back and two. And so I'm listening to it today. And I was going to make the video last night, but I decided, well, I'll do it today instead. I'm listening to it, and I said, you know what? My VTA is set where my arm is straight across the record, because that's where I had thought it sounded better. But it hadn't really broke in yet when I was doing all that. I said, you know, it really sounds like it's a little bit high behind the back. I need to bring it down a tad. So one way that you can tell if your VTA is not set correctly, what I was hearing was, I was hearing a little bit of mistracking on the highs, and it had that, like I said, that edge to it, that kind of a distortion. And so I said, I probably need to bring the VTA down a little bit. So when you bring it down, and there's one way you can tell too, if when you do bring the arm down or up in the back, the voice relative to where the speaker is, when you're listening to it, the voice will actually move up and down in your sound stage. So if you're listening to it and the voice is kind of down, lower, and you've got a lot of bass, well, you're too low on the back. And if you bring it up and the voice is kind of high and you've got lots of spaciousness going on, but you've got a little bit of mistracking too, and maybe you're lacking a little bit of bass, well then you know your VTA, that means you're too high up on the back. So I'm very close because I've got my ruler out, I've measured my arm, and I know that I'm perfectly perpendicular with that arm. But now that my stylus is broken in, and before it was a slight bit down in the back, so I moved it down that little bit in the back, about a quarter turn. You don't want to ever go too much. Boy, it really snapped in. It made a big difference. Just about all of the mistracking and the high frequencies was gone. The voices. And so we're going to go back to this record here for a minute. This record here now, there's a song on here. Let me go back and look at it again on this record to get the name of the song. I can't ever remember what it is. We Have Heaven. That song. I listened to the roundabout, different song, but I really like We Have Heaven because right in the middle of the song, he's just playing the piano. It's a solo piano passage. It's really beautiful. And you know, you can really hear a lot of details in that piano when he's striking the keys. And after I had moved that VTA down, just that quarter turn, I'm having an emotional connection with that music. I'm having a kind of an intimacy with the music. It's really making me feel, it's like a drug. It's making me feel fantastic. I just love the way that sounds, and I've got like a connection to it. I don't know any other way to describe it. And wow. Now another thing the Rest record does, of course, it's got better bass. And you notice it on those lower synthesizers. You've got almost like a different bottom octave of below that really digs deep and really can shake stuff if you crank it up. Where it doesn't have that on the other record. It has like a lot of bass, a lot of everything, but it's that really low register it's missing. And it really you can really tell that in the drums. A little bit further on in that song, there's a part where he's hitting a certain one of the bigger drums, he's hitting it on it. Now you can hear it on the Steve Hoffman record and the Kevin Gray record. You can hear it there on the Analogue Productions as well. But now it's just bigger, rounder, fuller. It's more distinct. It sounds more real. It really stands out. You're just like, whoa! It draws your attention to it because wow, I haven't heard it like that before. That really sounds nice. It sounds. Where's that coming from? You get those moments on this record. But the Analogue Productions record is a fantastic sounding record. This one has that ability, like I said, it's just able to have an emotional connection at times with the way that the music sounds. And yeah, I need more of that. That's good stuff. Okay, so, but the high end is pretty close. This record, I don't know what it is about these records, this particular, but you don't hear a lot of cymbals on it. I don't hear a lot of it on here, and I don't hear a lot of it on the one step either. A lot of cymbal crashes. I'm not hearing a lot of that. I'm hearing more like stick noises, but where's the cymbals? You don't have a lot of that. Cymbal splashes on this record. Now, we wanted to talk a little bit about this record. This is the record that Friday Music put out. Joe Ragoso did this record. Everybody wants to say, oh, he's no good. But actually, this record sounds really good. You know, and I think it was $65 or something at the time. 65, 70, somewhere in that price. I don't remember exactly. But, you know, it's got a box, kind of like the MoFi. It's not as nice as the MoFi box, but it's still a box. But, hey, what's going on in here now? I got a big old gatefold cover in here. How come MoFi can't afford to put a cover in their record, but Friday Music did, and they only charged $70. And one of the things I did do like about the way that, here, let's have a look at the gatefold. I don't know if this ever was a gatefold cover. There's the inside of the gatefold on the Friday music record. And it's a double, of course, a double record because it's a 45 RPM record. And this is the part I thought was pretty cool. They put it on the Plum label, but they put their Friday Music logo in there. That's nice. 45 RPM. And it sounds fantastic. There's a lot more bass. There's a lot more detail. But it didn't seem to have that intimacy that the MoFi had. Of course, I didn't listen to the whole record. I just listened to a little bit of it. I guess what I did was Yours Is No Disgrace. It's a side one. The whole side is side one. I probably listened to about half of that before I'm just making the video here. And yeah, it really does sound good. But I think that that new vinyl formulation that they've come up with for this record really shines, and I hope that they're able to put that vinyl in some more some of their other records. And maybe they'll watch the video, and maybe they'll say, you know what, we can do that. We can make a 45R double version of a 4-step, and then we can do our 2-step and put it in a little nicer box and do a little few, because we're going to make a bunch of money on these other records. We don't have to make it all on this one. And then we can put a little bit nicer product together and still, maintain our profit margins or whatever the problem is without making this state-of-the-art nice. And thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Bye for now.